actually reached out to Legion for the G6 for some pretty personal reasons. Both my parents had Parkinson's with Lewy body dementia. Jeff lost his mom in her 50s to complications from cerebellar ataxia. And when we saw this machine, both of us had the same reaction. Where was something like this when our parents were still here? Not because a home gym cures those diseases, it doesn't. But very light starting resistance, 6 pulley locations that never need adjusting, an attached bench, and an incredibly small footprint look like somebody had deliberately removed a lot of the things that can make exercise complicated. But simple doesn't automatically make a $2,899 home gym good. And this isn't really the same animal as the dual trolley functional trainers we normally review. There's one 200-pound stack, 6 permanently positioned pulley points, high, middle, and low, on each side, and a rotating bench designed around them. The system is 4-to-1 at a single handle, so mathematically a full 200-pound stack gives you roughly about 50 pounds at one handle. Use both sides together and you're at 100 pounds combined. So instead of constantly adjusting the machine to the exercise, Legion tries to make a lot of exercise work from a few positions that are already ready. There are 2 other machines worth mentioning because they help explain this design. The first is Fitness Gallery's Prime Time Compact Trainer. It's basically the closest apples to apples version that we have found. It's 6 pulleys, rotating bench, 200-pound stack, and the same general 4-to-1 architecture. Then there's the Sports Art A93. It's not the same machine, but it uses a similar single stack 4-to-1 multi-position cable concept. And Sports Art is much more explicit about positioning that machine towards conditioning and rehab. So there's a reason this kind of architecture makes sense. So thankfully, Legion didn't get the footprint down by making this thing feel cheap, because it doesn't. The frame is 11-gauge steel, but instead of the square uprights that we're used to seeing everywhere, Legion uses these oval tubes, a completely enclosed stack, and a much more refined residential look. And appearance actually matters with something this compact, because essentially this could live in an office or a spare bedroom or a finished part of the house instead of a dedicated gym space. This layout also has some history behind it. The G6 traces back to concepts from Tough Stuff's old 6-pack trainer, so this isn't Legion's experimenting with a completely new idea. But now let's use it.
All right, so obviously the major complaint about this unit for most people with a home gym is that it's a 4-to-1 pulley ratio. So at 200 pounds, maximum resistance you're going to feel from the pulley is 50 pounds per handle. You can use different apparatuses to connect the 2 of them and go bilateral. So now you get a 100 pounds pull, which for a lat pull down, single-handed, 100 pounds, you can get a workout off of that. The nice part about this, what we brought it in for, is for an aging group, maybe someone that's just getting into working out. They don't have a lot of space in their house. This is designed for someone like that. But it can also fit in a gym because you can do functional trainer stuff on it fine with a 50-pound resistance. As you can see, they do put the basic exercises up on here. And let me show you exactly why we like this and how it's good for people who may have certain needs outside of what we normally deal with. Top pulleys are about 78 inches from the floor. So if I come here and I spin the bench around the other way, you can either leave this up or bring it down. I'll bring it down just so you can see better. But of course, if I go to the full 200-pound stack, grab these, I can do my lat pull down. Now, say it's this simple, I can go to a mid row using the foot placements, do a mid row. That's about 34 inches from the ground. Now these bottom pulleys are about 9 inches from the ground, so you can do a low row. So as you can see, I just did, if I don't trip over this, 3 different rows without changing any pulleys. Now, say I pop the seat up, spin it around, I can use the seat, and I can do the same thing. I can go do my pull downs this way with a seat backing. I can drop the weight because 50 pounds per handle is gonna be too much for me on this. And I'll just go light from here on out. I can grab the bottom ones. And I can do my bicep curls. I can bring them up like this. Now I can do shoulder presses. I can put those down, grab the middle ones, and I can do my flies. Now, say if I want to get kind of crazy with this, let's spin the seat back around, put it down, drop the weight way down, and see if I can do it this way. I can do my lat raises, because at the lowest weight, it's only 2.5 pounds. So when you think about that, you've got a 2.5 pound increment. So when you're doing stuff like lateral raises, I can turn around, grab them in opposite hands, and do like a rear delt fly. That right there is a 5 pound rear delt fly. You can switch. And you can actually do, you know, regular kind of chest flies too. So yes, it's not your typical machine you're going to see in a normal home gym, but it has its place. And that's what we're trying to get across here, is that we wish we had had something like this for our parents to kind of helping with their mobility, their balance. It wasn't going to be a cure for what they have, but maybe it would have increased their quality of life a little bit, which is why we reached out to Bob at Legion to bring this in so we could show everybody. So like we said a million times, it's rated as 4-to-1, 50 pounds per handle. So just to be sure, we did throw our crane scale on here to see how close to reality the numbers actually were. So the top plate is just a 10-pound plate. So just with that, when we used our crane scale on it, it does come in about 2.5 pounds, which is what that 4-to-1 should be. The next plate down says 20 pounds, which includes the top plate, because when you pull it, it came in at just about 5 pounds. And imagine this, when I put the full 200-pound stack on it and pulled on one handle, it was 50 pounds. So it is 4-to-1. You are feeling the actual weight. So I don't think 4-to-1 is just good or bad. I can absolutely outgrow this, and I already have on some exercises, but flies, laterals, rear delts, and a lot of normal cable work, they're a completely different story, and I do actually get some use out of this.
And a lot more of my training lives inside that resistance range than it does for Jeff. So simply calling the G6 underpowered doesn't tell you whether it's underpowered for you. So at 5'5", where the pulleys hit me is going to be slightly different than where they hit Jeff. So we'll start with the high pulleys. For me, I have no issues. I get a full range of motion. Lat pull downs are perfectly fine for me. If I use the...
Okay, so for me, it's actually fairly easy. The pulleys are all lined up in pretty good positions for me, but with like a lot of things, it's these top ones at 78 inches and where the seat sits. So even if I flip it back around from where she had it, so I can get the lowest part of the seat here in the front, and if I go to do my lat pull downs, this is full range of motion. And as you can see, I haven't even started to pull yet, but if I want to do more of like a combo lat pull down with more of like a high pull, or if I lean back a little bit, now I've raised that pulley about 1/2 inch, and I can get full range of motion if I lean back a teeny bit. It's not ideal, but it is a pretty simple workaround for me.
If I use the middle pulley, I can do chest flies with no issue, full range of motion, in a really good spot, doesn't hit me funny. The only place I have a slight challenge is if I try and do bicep curls from a seated position, I keep hitting and I don't get the full range of motion. So that's probably just because I have a shorter torso. So I just stand up, and that's where I do my bicep curls, and that gets me my full range. So that's the real trade-off with the fixed pulley heights. They're wonderfully simple if they fit you.
Most of the time, changing exercises comes down to two decisions. What weight do I want? And which handle do I grab? That's basically the whole thing.
And this is really what made both of us pay attention to the G6 in the first place. And that doesn't make this a Parkinson's gym or an ataxia gym, a rehab gym, or even a woman's gym. It's a home gym built around space, simplicity, and efficiency. Some people just get even more value from those things specifically. So now this is where we're starting to see the compromises. You have a fixed pulley geometry, which gives you almost no setup, but you lose the precise cable positioning. The 4-in-1 gives you light starting resistance and a fine progression, but stronger users are going to hit a real ceiling. The attached bench is always there, but you're working around Legion's bench position instead of placing whatever bench you want wherever you want it. And the stored footprint is tiny, but obviously the machine gets longer when you actually use it with the bench. So Legion has made 3 very obvious trades: adjustable geometry for speed, heavy resistance for finer progression, and unrestricted setup for a tiny footprint. So now the question gets pretty simple. Who actually benefits from those trades and who doesn't?
So if you're a heavy hitter and a high load cable work is one of the main things that you need from your home gym, this is definitely the wrong machine. You're gonna find the ceiling. And to Legion's credit, that's not really hidden. But if you're trying to maximize your space and you care about efficiency, you want something that feels substantial and well built, and you care about how it looks sitting inside your house, and roughly 50 pounds per handle covers most of what you actually use cables for, the G6 starts making a bit more sense for you. That's basically what Perrin does. And I just showed that even somebody capable of finding its limits can still have plenty of legitimate uses for a machine like this. So maybe you're newer to training, maybe you're older, maybe your mobility or coordination has changed as you've gotten older. Maybe you simply don't want changing exercises to turn into another setup process. Or maybe you're helping someone else that has these issues train. Those aren't 5 different purposes for the machine. They're all getting more value from the same design decision. There isn't much standing between deciding to exercise and actually doing it on this machine.
So the G6 isn't the home gym for everybody. If you're a heavy lifter, you're going to find its limits. If you want endless adjustability, 6 pulley positions probably aren't going to make you very happy. But for somebody who values space, simplicity, efficiency, and a really well-built machine, we think the G6 makes a whole lot of sense. And for us, this one is a bit more personal. We wish we had known something like this existed for our parents when they were still around. And because we didn't, we felt like we needed to share it with you. Not because it would have cured anything, because it wouldn't have, but because a machine this simple removes a lot of the setup that can stand between somebody actually starting and doing a workout. And if it makes the process simpler for the person actually using it, or for the family member helping them, we wish we'd known that kind of option was out there.